Canada has just crossed a remarkable milestone, and it's happening in the heart of winter. While many parts of the country are still dealing with snow and Arctic cold, one location has surged straight into spring-like warmth. On February 4, Lethbridge, Alberta recorded a temperature of 20.6 degrees, marking Canada's first 20-degree reading of the season, and we're still in early February. So how does something like this even happen? The answer lies in a powerful and fascinating weather phenomenon known as a Chinook. Let's break this down, because this is one of the most dramatic temperature changes you'll ever see in Canada. Across southern Alberta, especially along the foothills of the Rockies, Chinook winds can completely transform the weather in a matter of hours. Snow disappears, temperatures skyrocket, and winter seems to vanish almost instantly. At the center of this event is strong westerly flow moving across the Pacific and into the Rocky Mountains. As moist air is forced upward over the mountains, it cools and condenses. This cooling process squeezes out moisture, often in the form of cloud and precipitation on the windward side of the Rockies. Once that air crests the mountains and begins to descend on the eastern side, everything changes. The air is now much drier, and as it flows downhill toward the foothills and plains of Alberta, it warms rapidly. This warming happens because descending air compresses, and compression naturally increases temperature. This is what meteorologists call the downsloping effect. This downsloping warming is the key reason temperatures can spike so dramatically during Chinook events. In this case, it pushed Lethbridge well past the 20-degree mark, an extraordinary reading for early February. Satellite imagery from Wednesday clearly showed the signature of this event. A classic Chinook arch developed along the eastern slopes of the Rockies. This arch appears as a curved band of cloud stretching across southern Alberta, marking the boundary between moist air to the west and dry, warming air to the east. Beneath that arch, skies often clear out, winds pick up, and temperatures surge. For communities like Lethbridge, Calgary, and Medicine Hat, Chinooks are known for producing some of the warmest winter days in the country. It's not unusual to see double-digit temperatures while nearby regions remain well below freezing. In some cases, temperatures can rise by 15 to 20 degrees in just a few hours. This event was also reinforced by a strong ridge of high pressure sitting over Western Canada. That ridge acted like a protective dome, keeping storm systems away and allowing warm Pacific air to dominate the region. With no cold Arctic air able to push westward, the Chinook had free rein to work its magic. While this kind of warmth feels incredible in the middle of winter, it does come with side effects. Rapid snowmelt can lead to localized flooding, especially in urban areas where drainage systems are still frozen. Strong Chinook winds can also cause power outages, blowing dust, and difficult travel, particularly for high-profile vehicles. And while it may feel like spring, it's important to remember that winter is not over. Chinook events are temporary. Once the winds shift and colder air returns, temperatures can drop just as quickly as they rose. In fact, it's not uncommon to go from 20 degrees back to below freezing within a day or two. Still, this milestone is significant. Recording Canada's first 20-degree temperature of the season before mid-February highlights just how dynamic and extreme our weather patterns can be. It's a powerful reminder that geography plays a huge role in our climate, and few places showcase that better than southern Alberta. So while much of the country continues to bundle up, southern Alberta gets a brief taste of spring, courtesy of the Rockies and the incredible force of Chinook winds. We'll continue to monitor how long this warmth lasts and when colder air looks to return. For now, it's a remarkable moment in Canada's weather story, one that proves winter doesn't always play by the rules. It's a classic tale of two seasons unfolding across Canada today, and the contrast could not be sharper. While western parts of the country are still enjoying unseasonably warm and spring-like conditions, a major shift is underway. That ridge of high pressure that brought the warmth is beginning to weaken, and by the weekend, colder Arctic air will surge southward, tightening its grip across eastern Canada and stretching all the way into Atlantic Canada. We'll begin on the west coast, where the weather story remains active. British Columbia is still under the influence of a ridge for a little while longer, but changes are already on the horizon. Along the north coast, Prince Rupert continues to deal with heavy rain through Thursday. There may be a brief lull, but it won't last long. Another Pacific system is lining up and will push inland, impacting coastal sections once again, including Vancouver Island and eventually the lower mainland. As this system moves through, freezing levels remain very high, still above 2,000 meters, meaning valley locations will mainly see rain, while higher elevations pick up snow. Mountain passes could become slippery at times, especially as precipitation intensifies. By Sunday, widespread rainfall is expected across much of British Columbia as the ridge finally breaks down and allows Pacific moisture to push farther south and inland. Now, if you missed it, this week made weather history in Canada. Lethbridge, Alberta recorded the first 20-degree day of the season and of the year, reaching 20.6 degrees on February 4th. That is extremely rare for early February and was driven entirely by strong Chinook winds coming off the Rockies. Air flowing over the mountains descended on the eastern slopes, warming rapidly and drying out, producing that dramatic temperature surge. And even today, Thursday, Western Canada continues to hold onto that warmth. We're looking at another beautiful day across the region. Highs reaching 18 degrees in Medicine Hat, 16 in Calgary, 15 in Victoria, and around 10 degrees in Prince George. Brandon sits near 5 degrees, while Winnipeg climbs to about 3 degrees. Overall, it's a mild and pleasant setup for early February standards. That said, not everyone in the prairies is completely done with winter weather just yet. A few weaker systems have been tracking through the northern prairies. While these systems don't carry a lot of moisture, they've been enough to bring periods of snow. Combined with snowfall from Wednesday into Thursday, the bullseye remains over areas like Lynn Lake and Black Lake, where totals in the range of 15 to 20 centimeters are possible before this system finally winds down. Farther north, the cold is still very much in control. Thursday afternoon temperatures drop to around -25 in Iqaluit, -34 in Inuvik, and -21 in Churchill, where blowing snow remains an issue at times due to gusty winds. This pool of Arctic air is not staying put. It's on the move. By Friday overnight, that bitterly cold Arctic air will begin descending into Ontario, Quebec, and eventually Atlantic Canada. As it arrives, winds will increase, and that will drive wind chills into the mid to high -30s across parts of Ontario and Quebec, with similar values spreading into Atlantic Canada as we head into the weekend. Before the cold fully settles in, eastern Canada does get a brief break from active precipitation. Thursday looks relatively quiet for many areas, but that changes as we move into Friday. A system tracking along the Great Lakes will bring light snowfall across southern Ontario, including areas near Lake Huron and Lake Superior. Most locations will see about 3 to 5 centimeters, but localized amounts of 5 to 10 centimeters are possible closer to the lakes. The bigger concern won't just be snowfall totals, but the wind. As a secondary system moves through Friday evening, winds will ramp up significantly. Gusts could reach 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, particularly near the lakes and extending into the Golden Horseshoe. With fresh snow on the ground, blowing and drifting snow will reduce visibility and make travel difficult Friday night into early Saturday. By Saturday morning, conditions gradually begin to improve as the system pulls away, but the cold stays locked in. Temperatures across Ontario, Quebec, and much of the east remain well below seasonal levels through the weekend, with overnight lows plunging sharply under clearing skies. Turning to Atlantic Canada, the region finally catches a bit of a break after recent heavy snowfall. Thursday into Friday brings periods of light snow, but accumulations are expected to be minimal. As the system pushes offshore, cloud cover increases, and winds begin to strengthen once again. Areas across the Avalon Peninsula and St. John's will notice gustier conditions heading into Saturday and Sunday. While snowfall won't be a major concern, those strong winds could create rough marine conditions and make it feel even colder than the thermometer suggests. So as we look across the country Thursday afternoon, the contrast is striking. Sunshine and warmth continue in the west, with temperatures near 16 degrees in Calgary, while the east remains locked below freezing. Halifax and St. John's sit near -1, and colder air is already knocking on the door. The takeaway heading into the weekend is this. Western Canada will gradually cool as the ridge breaks down, while eastern Canada braces for a renewed surge of Arctic air, strong winds, and winter conditions returning in full force. Winter may have loosened its grip briefly in the west, but it's far from finished across the rest of the country. Stay with us as we continue to track these changes and bring you the latest updates through the weekend and beyond.